All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. Happy International Women's Day. Before we begin, I would like to thank the Digital Art Resource Center for partnering us with for the speaker series. I would like to start with a land acknowledgement. On behalf of Digi60, we would like to acknowledge that the land on which we are on is on the traditional, unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Please take a moment to learn about the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation and to learn about their history, concerns, and work as a community. We believe that the path to reconciliation includes learning and understanding these concerns directly from them, as well as a concerted effort for settlers and the government to make active work towards righting the historical injustices that have faced First Nations people. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists for this evening. Fanglin Zhu, who I'm going to be calling Shu, because that's your nickname, which I think is super adorable, is a documentary filmmaker. Her project documents the killer whale conservation work in West Iceland. Before coming to Canada, she was a TV journalist in Shanghai, and you can find her videos and photography work on CBC. She's also the editor of the TV show Stittsville on Patrol. And that's really popular too, I think, coming out, right? It just came out recently and got like so much praise. It's pretty cool. We have Nisha Chong, the makeup artist based in Ottawa that specializes in media arts with professional certifications in beauty and special effects. She is making her mark one project at a time. Her passion, creative vision, and attention to detail is seen in her work. Her genuine connection to her clients and projects has helped build a diverse resume and portfolio. And then last but not least, we have Derrick. In a career spanning 15 years, Kate has had the honor of working with some of the industry's brightest stars, such as rock and roll legend Howard Ungerleider, Jennifer Lawrence in House at the End of the Street, and the great Vilmos Zsigmond, Oscar-winning cinematographer for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. After a 2-year break following the birth of her son, Kate has recently made her return to the industry, most recently working as technical coordinator for Gusto's One Big Recipe. So thank you all for joining me today. And happy International Women's Day. I'm so excited as the director of women's industry for Digi60. I get to do this and moderate. And thank you for Hingman, who is my producer on this, who is doing all the technical work in the background. So yay team, yay women. We are awesome. So I would like each of you to introduce yourself. So we'll start with Fang Lang. Shu, please tell us what you do, how you got into film, and how you're enjoying it.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Shu, and I landed in Canada 10 years ago, pursuing my dream in journalism. So I went to Carleton's journalism school. Before that, I was in Shanghai. I was a TV journalist, but then I decided to do more education in Canada, so I came here. And then I find out that daily TV journalism was really not my cup of tea, because it's just too intense. But I really still would like to tell stories. So gradually I picked up the skills of shooting, editing, also producing, directing, all of that, and became a documentary maker. So that was my journey. Right now I own my own business. So I deal with lots of clients on day-to-day basis and do photography, videography, depending on the assignments. But on the side, so I make money from my business so that I can afford my dream of making documentaries for free. For example, the documentary we're making in West Iceland, it's about the killer whale conservation there. I work with a German producer who we met 10 years ago when we were both exchange students at Carleton University. And then later she became a conservationist and she ran her NGO, and I became a documentary maker. So she applied for funding from National Geographic and we successfully got the funding, a little funding, you know. And so I still need to maintain my business to documentaries on the side. So that was my story briefly.
Well, that's amazing. And so like what kind of, so your business in terms of videography, what kind of clients do you get?
So for example, let's say take this month as example, I'm finishing 2 videos. One was published already with CBC Ottawa. So one is, the series is called Cool with Cold. So they talk about the cool things people do during the cold weather. So I produced 1 episode for that series under the cultural and diversification umbrella. And the other one is coming up soon, which is of 6-minute videos featuring 3 people who had depression experienced depression or anxiety and how they coped with it. So it's like a mini documentary featuring 3 people and their strategies.
No,
So
that's
that's
awesome.
with CBC. And with Bell Media, it's the show This Film Patrol.
Right. So you're the editor for that one,
I'm the
correct?
editor. It was very amusing to work with a team who grew up here. And I didn't get most of the jokes, so I literally need to Google what does shat mean.
Oh, no.
And read through the emails of try to get the joke, why these jokes make sense, you know? So that was quite interesting. We actually broke the viewership record on Bell 5 TV for the first week.
That's incredible because I think Bell 5 normally doesn't do web series type shows. Usually it's like lifestyle documentaries, correct? I think. And I think this is one of the first type of web series that they've had on there.
It could be. They take different pitches from independent producers and directors, so you can pitch your own show. And this is a dream that Christopher Redman, our director, had for years and years. So it was quite interesting. That's
crazy. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's awesome. Is there a season 2? Is that in the works? Do you know?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
But let's go.
All right. Thank you so much, Kate. How did you get into being well, first, you're a gaffer, correct? Lighting. I need you to explain to a gaffer, best boy, all that stuff, and tell me how you got into it.
Okay. So the lighting department, the head of your big boss is the DOP or the director of photography or cinematographer. And the next in line is the gaffer. And then, so he's in charge of lighting. And then right under him, his assistant is the best boy electric. So I work the two. I work as a best boy and I work as a gaffer. So a best boy, as the assistant, you kind of help manage the crew. You are responsible for keeping track of like power distribution and equipment and all the little extra little things. And so I light the scenes, I light the backgrounds, I light actors. I also work, I do concerts. So I do lighting for that, for theater, anything that needs lights, I do. I got into it sort of randomly. I had plans of being an actress, which is funny because I'm super shy. I have stage fright right now and like no one can see me, but that was the plan. And I ended up doing background and then getting into art department just so that I could, because I'm an artist and I wanted to learn about set more. And as an actress, like, you know, I wanted to be familiar with the set and I wanted to know what's going on. And my first show, I was sitting on these stairs quietly watching this gaffer who was installing a dimmer in the wall, which is actually something that I've never had to do still. I had no idea anything about lighting, never thought about it, but I just sat there watching him put this dimmer in a wall and I thought, my God, that is so cool. I want to do lighting. So I started watching lights move around set and I was just like, wow, this is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I got lucky. I did my first 3 movies as crew was in the art department doing props, and I became really good friends with a gaffer. He's also works as a DOP, but a gaffer named John Olds. I just bring him up because this was my mentor, and this guy, he's sadly no longer with us. Aww. And he basically made my career. So we became friends and I was like, John, I wanna light. And back then there were no women lighting in this business in film. And he's like,
it's still kind of rare, right? Though it's still kind of rare now, right?
Yeah, it's since I left to have a baby, was off for 2 years. It's really changed. And what's really cool is John gave a lot of, like, I was the first one, and then for 5 years I was the only one, and then the next one came in, and then you'd see that most the women that started lighting were because of John. And he was like, the reason I'm bringing him up just because it's so hard to find an ally in this business.
Yeah.
But he was one from the very beginning. This is like 2005 when it was super uncommon. There were very few females on set to begin with, like in any department. My first day on set, I was at the set, did a big setup and was at the craft table. And this man said to me, like, I don't like you lighting. Like, women shouldn't light.
What?
So
that was that?
Yeah, that was my first day lighting. So that was the mentality. And it was sort of like, that was sort of set the tone for what my start of my career was. But John never, that was never a thought. He was like, yeah, there are no women. Let's do this. Like, I'm going to be the guy that I'm going to like be open to that. And I'm going to get women involved in this department. And he did that. And he did that until like the very end. There's a lot of people in this industry who could thank him for that, especially women. He like paved the way for a lot of people and opened up doors. So yeah. So
you definitely need like mentors in this business, you know, mentors and allies 100%. You know,
that's why I give him props. I have to mention that he is like, when it's Women's Day and you're talking about like women need allies, like we need people like that who in this business, especially just in life, but in this business who are like, yeah, I'll take you under my wing and make you like, let's do this. And it was never a question of like, oh, you're too small or you're too girl.
Yeah. And are you still interested in acting, or is that dream like gone now?
No, so a weird, like how things work is I was best boy on a movie. This is like 2012, and the stunt coordinator, this is like the middle of a dirt road in Almont, in like some weird hour of the day, picks me up in the air. He's like, okay, you're going to be my Timmy. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but sure. He's like, yeah, you're going to be the stunt double for this 12-year-old boy named Timmy. Can you do it? I was like, okay, I'll do it, because there was nobody in ACTRA who could, locally, who could duplicate a 12-year-old boy, and also had the like ability to be ripped off the side of a building without getting hurt. So I did it, and that's so I haven't done like acting, but I did a bunch of shows as a stunt double after that happened. I joined ACTRA and became a stunt double. So yeah, but yeah, I'd like to do voiceover work. I'd like to be a cartoon.
Oh, that's cool.
Maybe that's probably better, because I seem to be okay if I'm like, but yeah. No, I'm definitely still interested in it. Just, yeah.
So your path is just different on the way there.
Yeah, like I ended up getting to the acting part, or at least the actor, that's
right
in front of camera part, but it was like a weird circle how it happened. Art department, lighting, stunt double. So I'm in there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, hi.
Thank you for sharing that. Nikisha, how did you get into makeup?
How did I get into makeup? I feel like it's always been a thing that I've enjoyed. So it's something, I love makeup. I genuinely enjoy working with colors and that sort of thing. But I actually started in finances. I worked in finances for 8 years before I decided to pursue makeup seriously. And it really started out just as a hobby. And as things progressed, you know, I started to make certain goals for myself, and I was realizing that, okay, you know, this is starting to happen and I'm still really interested in it. So I decided to go to Vancouver and study makeup artistry and special effects. So I did that, and that's how I understood about film. That's how I got into film, was learning about the different avenues that you can go through makeup in itself, and just the ones that make the most money, you know? So I figured, okay, well, there's a lot of stops that I want to make within my career, and film is a really good way to meet other really cool women, because there are not a lot of women that are on set, but the ones that are there are really cool. So it's been a good experience for me. I started working with students at VFS, and I've done quite a few commercials. And I pretty much do makeup for anything. I'm really open. So, you know, I'm always looking for people to collaborate with who have cool ideas that I can, you know, add some of that sparkle on it.
We just got a comment from Linda Cruz saying your own makeup is stunning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I mean, we met because you were doing my makeup on a set, so that was fun.
Yeah, that is how we met. Yeah.
Oh my God, what was I going to say? Hi, Linda. So there's a chat going on, guys. And if anybody has any questions, just put it in the Q&A and I will get to them towards the end. If you have comments for the panelists, I'll try to like read them as we go along. So how do you quit finance to go into makeup? How do you jump from that to that? Or, you know, that's the dream for a lot of people, are like to quit their day jobs and like get into their so-called hobby, right? Like their part-time hustle into full-time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to say that it was glamorous, but it totally was not. A lot of sacrifice, to be honest with you. The thing about finance is that it's numbers and it's kind of boring, and I didn't love it. And it turned into what was a hobby. I was kind of forced to decide, what do I want to do? I actually had someone ask me what my passion was once. And like at the time I gave like the worst response ever. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. But like it really forced me to think like, okay, what do you like doing? What is something that you enjoy and that you like doing every day and that you won't get sick of it? And it was makeup. So I started to kind of play around with it and it became what I did. It's one thing that I realized, like, you know what, like I could be a mediocre banker or I can be an exceptional makeup artist. And it came down to choosing a career over a job.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You live in the dream. You live in the dream.
Yes, well, trying to, you know, one face at a time.
One face at a time. That's okay. Shu, I'm going to ask you first. What are your triumphs in filmmaking? We'll start with that. I'll come back to the challenges after, but I want to hear your triumphs in your documentary filmmaking, your path to filmmaking. Let me hear them.
I actually have one little moment, but was really nice moment. So, you know, I photographed lots of women. So I do photography as well. And then I remember this this woman, she came to me, she's my friend. She's in her late 40s. And she told me, I want to, this is a birthday gift I want to give myself. And I like you to take my photos. And her husband himself is a photographer. So I wonder why, you know, she wouldn't just let him take photos of her. But I guess she had her reasons. So we took the photo. It took us 15, 20 minutes to warm up, to trust each other, you know, although we're friends, but when you take photos and make videos, people still get really nervous in front of the camera. Then I relaxed her and everything, and we had lots of fun. And I got a shot in which she looked very full of joy, and it's herself, because you can see the trust built, and then the moment happened. And she was so happy. She saw the picture and she cried. I would never expect it from anyone who would see herself and appreciate herself for who she is, because I was able to bring out the moment. So that was a very touching moment that I see. It's really hard to photograph women, because I always joke with them, because you need to relax them and need to let them appreciate themselves, assuring them that you're pretty and inside and out, everything like that. And I keep joking, I'm $10 lower, my rate lower than my shrink. It's not my job to, but then it is my job. So after a while, you see them being relaxed and trusting you and really representing the best side of themselves, which is just being themselves, not just pretending who they are, not acting. Mm-hmm. So that was a moment made me feel pretty good. And sometimes, and that's the photography. And for videography part, I published work on CBC earlier, a few years ago. It's called The Rink Guy. So I was featuring a guy who was a volunteer operating the outdoor rinks in Ottawa. We actually have quite a lot of outdoor rinks, and so there are a lot of volunteers doing this. Anyway, so that was published on CBC across the country, and I got a random message from this guy in Vancouver and saying, "Oh, great job!" And it's like, oh, actually someone's watching and who would actually Google your name and try to say something nice to you. Mm-hmm. I only thought this is something I do, and I keep creeping on people's names. Who are they? And follow them on Instagram and then say, "Hey, your work is awesome." So seeing that the work would mean something to one person, sometimes, most of the time, if it means something to one person, then it's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's creative, I think.
That's amazing. Those are great triumphs. And like, you're totally right about photography, like taking photos of women, if they even as an actor, it's so hard to be in front of the camera because you're so self-conscious of all the little details that, you're self-conscious about on yourself, that you're like, oh, now the camera's going to pick it up, Mm-hmm. One of my headshot photographers, he made me sign like a document saying like, if you want he's like, I'm only going to touch up very, very little. Mm-hmm. And he's like, but if you want more things touched up, you have to sign a document. He's like, because you need to look realistic in your photos and like your headshots and stuff. And he's like, I've had people like try to really change certain things on their face because we're so self-conscious and we're so, and but when you have a really great photographer who can like pull out that beauty in you, like that natural beauty, it's because like they're comfortable in front of you, and it takes a while to like you said, it took 15-20 minutes to really get comfortable, and I totally get that.
So those are my moments. Every time I shoot
Amazing.
someone, it always happens at some point. So it keeps me going and going because you get so satisfied from those trust. It's pretty nice.
Absolutely. That's a great feeling. Definitely a great feeling. Kate, let's hear your triumphs.
Okay. I mean, I've had some, there's moments that really like were amazing.
Yeah.
Certain people to like pour, like we were talking about Filmmakers, that was an amazing experience. But for me, like, I think my main triumph would be that I'm like still in this business, because where I came from, it was a hard road. Like other people have, I think if I were to start this career now, after other women have done it and it's like 15 years later, I would have a very different experience. So because I spoke up, because I like demanded like to be paid equally on certain jobs where people are trying not to, and people are trying to cut me out of the business, and there was a lot of crazy experiences that I had because there wasn't a lot of support. Like I said, John Alton is an amazing person, but there's one of him. Like there really weren't other ones. So I really had to fight my way in this industry and to keep myself in the industry. I had a few instances where people tried to me out, and I fought every time to keep myself in it. And I thought I was going to be done when I had my son. I was like, I'm now leaving on my own terms. This is it. But like, 2 years go by and you start to think about your job and lighting. And that was like a piece of me. Like that was something that was part of my identity. So, I missed that, and I ended up coming back. I thought I was out. So just, I was good with being done, leaving on my own way because I was going to have a baby. But like, just what I had fought through to stay in this business, despite, everything. To me, that's my triumph.
Yeah. And you paved the way for other women. You paved the way for other women, and
and that's another really cool thing is like, I'm seeing, so one of a guy that I brought on to work on our truck when I was pregnant, he was keeping it a secret, and I wanted some like a supportive crew around me. I was the best boy on a show. I wanted like good people working with me, and that guy is now working both as a best boy and as a gaffer. And and he even sent me a message one day. Sorry if you're listening, it's not okay to share this, but saying like, I see what, now that I'm moved up so fast after you left, I see what you've been through, and I can understand like how. He's like, I feel guilty that I had such an easy time coming from you training me to me being where I am, and they wouldn't even let you be in this position, and you had 13 years more experience than me.
We're gonna come back to that too, because we definitely want to talk about your challenges, and that's a big one for sure.
He's sort of taken on this new role, and he also ended up working with John, and I guess that rubbed off on him too. He respected my position where I came from, and he respected women. And now that he's in charge on a lot of sets, I see him hiring, like having a full women crew. They're young and they're coming into this business with like a positive experience and having like an easier road. So I feel like I kind of helped get that there, but it's nice to see people picking up where John left off and like being a good, like
mentor and ally. I would say,
mentor,
right? Yeah.
New women coming in. So that's something that that's one of my triumphs, is like seeing the change of like when I left this business a few years ago to where it is now that I'm returning. It's different and it's cool.
Good. Yeah. Good change is coming. I hope it's more and more for sure. But I want to come back to your challenges because we have to talk about those. Nikisha, let's hear your triumphs.
I feel like as a makeup artist, I have that happen regularly. It's kind of like an instant gratification thing, similar to what she was saying about being a photographer is that I get this opportunity to get right in people's faces, literally, and get to know them for real. And when you're a makeup artist, you know, you have people come to you and say things like, can you make sure that you cover this thing right here? Because like, I can't stand it. And that, even if it's not a big deal in the bigger picture, for them being able to kind of see this different version of themselves, it's so exciting to see how much a person can, you know, kind of switch up when there's a little lash added or a little extra something. So I enjoy that. I would say professionally, when it comes to film, I think triumph-wise, I've been really just enjoying the process. A lot of the recent things that have been triumphs. You know, I've had to reach out to previous people that I worked with and ask for reference letters. And I cried. Mind you, I'm an emotional person in general, clearly. But when I read these letters and I was reading that they were seeing what I was trying to give to the crew, the fact that they were receiving me in the way that I was trying to portray myself, as well as just being an active member of the team. And, you know, as a makeup artist, you know, we kind of stand in the background, like we are busy for 15, 20 minutes and then we chill out for a little bit and not much happens with what I'm doing. But it's very gratifying and humbling, to be honest with you, to have people speak so highly of me, especially from one instance, like just meeting me one time and feeling like Mesa. This is a perfect example. You know, Mesa brought me on this, and we met one time. Yeah, it was one time, and I feel like we've developed a friendship from it. You know, but she's referred me to many things. This is not the only one. And I have to say that, you know, that's part of the reason why it's so important for there to be more women in this, is that I'm finding that most of the opportunities that I've gotten to move forward within my career in film, reference letters that were extremely well written, were from women, you know, and I don't know if it's necessarily because they recognize that it is, you know, we're often the only one on set. But further to that, there is a connection that happens where, you know, people are starting to see, you know, my passion and what I'm trying to bring forth to the project. So those are, you know, those have been really big highs for me. And I think I try to focus mostly on the triumphs, because it's working in film in general is it's not easy. And I think that that's something that a lot of people misunderstand, is that there's actually nothing glamorous about it, like at all. I look like this today, but on set I never look like this. So it's one of those things where, you know, there's a lot of time that's invested into each of our careers, and there are a lot of challenges, especially as women. So it's really important to focus more on the triumphs, because being in this and living the dream, like you said, that is the triumph, is being able to get up every day and say, I'm going to go do this. And it's what I want to do today. So, yeah.
I love that. And, you know, you're totally right. Like, I feel, you know, I'm always all about community over competition. And I've always been an advocate about, you know, pushing other women forward and helping in any way that I can. And, you know, you're not going to get to the top by yourself. You know, you're always gonna, it's gonna be with others helping you, your team, your friends, your supporters, you know, and I'm a big believer in creating your community, and which is, you know, once we connected and we really bonded over like some of the things, like that day on set was so much fun. And, you know, and right away I was like, oh, Nikisha should do this, or, you know, and I have you in mind because, you know, you're now part of my community. No, and I appreciate that. It's funny because today I'm not very good with my socials. I'm trying to be better, but I posted something today that was really, it's true. And it was, every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We're strongest when we cheer each other on. Absolutely. And Serena Williams said that. And for me, like, that is like gold. It is the truth. The thing is that, like, as women, we relate to each other because we go through the same things. Yeah. When we recognize that another woman is trying to reach her peak on her journey and what she's doing,
you can only respect it. It's very difficult to not, as somebody who's on their own journey, to not appreciate and praise another woman for getting to the place that she's in. So like you said, you know, community over competition, like we could be in competition, but there's like more than enough opportunities for all of us to eat in this.
It's because people are scared that there's one seat at the table.
No, you got to create the table. I bring the table.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, the more we connect with each other, the more we can create those opportunities for women that are coming after us so that the table is longer. You know what I mean? It's not going to be just one table. So I agree. Like I try to focus on the community aspect anyways.
Absolutely. So let's talk about challenges then. Shoot, what's the challenges that you've gone through in filmmaking or photography?
It's very practical answer is that my rate. Over the years, I've been struggling with how much I should set my rate since day one. And I remember I don't mind sharing my rate. I remember I started free because I took a photo for my photography assignment at Carleton University. So it was window portrait. So I took this portrait of my classmate, Roberta. And then people liked it. I post on Facebook and people like it. And then someone would approach me to say, can you take a photo of me? So that was my very, very first gig. That was 10 years ago now. And I took a photo of her and she said she wants to pay me. I'm like, no. I don't think it worth someone to pay me. So that was the very beginning. And she had to ask my friends, so what can I do for Shu? And they say, well, she's Chinese, she likes tea. So she got me a David's tea gift card, which I really appreciate. I got tea for my grandfather and brought back to China to let him taste the tea from Canada. So over the years, then I started at 20. And then back then I remember I was booked to take portraits of one department at Carleton University. So for the $20 an hour, the administrator booked 4 professors within the hour. Then if you do the calculation, 15 minutes, an hour. So I took 4 portraits for 4 people throughout the hour for $20. So each one's like $5. So that's how I got started. And then I remember I was telling the front desk lady, who I still appreciate her advice. Back then she said, you shouldn't charge this little because, and I thought I was just being humble, you know, being nice. She said, if you don't respect yourself and respect your rate, and if you don't trust yourself, then there's no way people are going to see your value. They wouldn't believe it. So over the years, I had those points, you know, it's always women lifting me and say, hey, this is not okay. Your rate is not okay. You should raise it. So over the years, and I remember a few years ago, I asked an acquaintance of mine who's a photographer, and I asked him about his rate. So he told me a rate, and I was really surprised. So over the years, I know it sounds bad, I've been trying to match the white guy rate.
Hey.
But it's really hard when you start really low, $20 an hour. Like next year, you can't just raise to 30, and next year 40. So it takes you how many years to match the white guy rate, right? So till today, I'm still $10 lower than the white guy rate that I got from 5 years ago.
Oh, no.
So I think that's a huge challenge. It's about knowing that you're worth it. And maybe it's from the cultural background that where I'm from. Maybe it's the being a woman, how we were raised up in the society and expectation. I'm still trying to figure it out. But over the years, if someone would give me suggestion, I would just start higher. So skip all the years of raising your rate and feeling all the guilt.
Yeah, I totally get that. I had seen this woman on TikTok and on Instagram, and she has this program, and it's called "What Would Chad Do?" So she tells you to find your inner white man, and what would he do? You know, so you find, and so if, you know, your inner white guy, what would he charge? Oh, he would charge this much. Then, you know, you do that, you know, and I feel like you're so like that, like, because we as women tend to underestimate ourselves. We challenge ourselves in terms of like how, you know, maybe we feel bad, like, oh, well, maybe we're overcharging, maybe we shouldn't, and maybe, you know, and, oh, we're not good enough to charge that much yet. And so we need to have, like she said, you know, respect yourself more and definitely, and and show that in your rates and in your work. Like your work is worth it, you know?
Mhm.
Oh, someone says, charge your rate for sure. Change your rate higher for sure. Wow, I really can't speak today. I'm so sorry, guys. Yes, change your rate, make it higher. You know, it's you deserve it, and you know you deserve, like you work hard. I can't even, like, that's with hearing your story about the $20 an hour and having all those people, and that's, yeah. Someone saying imposter syndrome, 100%. Imposter syndrome is it's so prevalent in women. It's so prevalent in women. Like we feel like we don't, you know, we're not good enough. We're not there. Like we're, you know, we're not, well, I'm not a real photographer yet, so I can't really change that, you know, charge that much, but like you doing the work, you're the artist, and, you know, definitely. So I totally feel that. And I'm rambling. I'm so sorry. Kate, let's hear your challenges.
Well, I'll start with this rate thing. Just to like continue that, I think a lot of it has to do with, it's not that we don't know what we're worth and what we should be paid. It's that you're afraid to speak up and like say what you're really worth, because then maybe they won't want to hire you, like, because, oh, she's annoying. Oh, she wants all this stuff. Oh, she thinks she's, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's some of it. My least, like, when I start with someone new that I've never worked with, I'm like, I hope they offer me a rate and I can just say like, yeah. Because I hate the question of like, what's your rate? I don't know what my rate is. I still don't know. It's like 15 years later and I don't know what my rate is. I'm afraid that if I say what I think my rate should be, I'll never work. So one of my challenges was that, and surprisingly it came from a woman of all people. There's one woman who, anytime I would work with her, she would give me a lower rate. And it wouldn't be until like we're in the middle of a show and I would find out from my friends, and they're all guys, obviously. This is back when I was the only woman. They're being paid more than me at the exact same position. So grips and electrics work together to do lighting. It's another whatever name. But the point is, it was like, say I was a fourth electric, the fourth grip we should be paid the same, but the fourth grip would be paid more. Why? You know, he's a guy. Like, I don't know. There's no other reason. Like, we have the same experience. We're both in it, like the same position, exactly equal position. And you'd be paid more. I had, you know, some guys tell me like, okay, on other shows, if she offers you, this is how much I was offered, just so you know, when she tells you what you're going to get paid. So I got sick of it and I stood up for myself, and it was like $20, which sounds like petty, but it was the principle. And I had to explain that to her. Like, she wanted my contract back, and I had changed the rate on it to the rate that I thought I should get, that was offered to this guy that told me his rate. And she's like, why'd you change your rate? I'm like, because this is what you offered so-and-so. Oh, well, he has more experience than you. I'm like, no, he used to be my intern. We had a lot of interns from Algonquin. I'm like, he was my intern, actually. So no. And I told her, it's $20 and you'll most likely never hire me again. And that's fine, because now there's women coming into this department, and I'm going to make sure that they don't deal with the crap I've been dealing with. Like, I'm going to make it better so that when women are working in lighting, they are equal. Like, even if it takes forever, even if you don't hire me, that's fine. For $20 or $25, like, I'm going to stand up for this, because
Absolutely.
that's crazy. She didn't really hire me again.
Oh, no.
And I was like, the surprising thing, because it was the rare time that at that time where there was a woman in a position of power who could have had my back. Like, it would have been nice to have somebody have my back in this business, whether it be about rates or whatever, like, to be excited to see a woman in this role. And like, she clearly wasn't. So that was a challenge.
Very unfortunate.
And there's the whole, like, if any, you know, oh, look, Kate's playing with the boys. Oh, that's so cute. Like, that kind of, those comments from producers. And then the, if you speak up, if you even tell your crew, like your friends, what your experience is feeling like, you're kind of labeled as like whiny and annoying. Like, people don't want to work with the whiny, annoying person, but it's just like, you don't know what someone's experience is like. If you're not living it, like, it sucks. Like, you love your job. Like, I love this job. The hours are ridiculous. Everything about it's ridiculous. And that's part of what I love about it. So for people to just not let you just go to work and do your job and go home at the end of the day happy with your work, and there's like it sucks. And if you do anything to speak up about it, you get these labels, which I got many labels along the way, but at least it's easier for other people now coming in.
And do you think that it's changing with like, you know, the Me Too movement, everything, time's up? Do you find that there's less harassment on set?
I don't think any of those movements mean anything to people when they're on set. Nobody's acknowledging that in their minds as you're working, like, oh, there's this Me Too movement. Oh, let's be. I think it's like either in you or it's not. You either are the type of person that's compassionate, you believe in equality, you believe in bigging people up, you believe in like supporting your friends, whether they're male, female, and that's something that's in you. I don't think that having a movement, I think a lot of people acknowledging it tends to be for like, it's an image thing, like, look at me, I am supportive. But like, are you supportive? Because I've seen a lot of people over the years see a lot of really crappy behavior on set, and they know it's wrong, but they won't stand up because they're also afraid of their jobs. Even like men are afraid of losing their job. If I'm an ally to this person, like, what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
So no, I think it's, I think it just really depends. The change is because it depends on the individuals who are in charge. And I also had a lot of fights with a lot of producers and had a lot of private meetings where I called people out on the things that were happening, and out of fear, they made some changes.
Wow.
Yeah, because there were some pretty weird incidences, but out of fear for their company, they promoted, they spoke to certain people, they removed certain people, because, So
I get a comment saying, good, you called them out, which is, absolutely. And, you're standing up for everybody else because everyone is too scared, and you're kind of taking the brunt for it and like the fall for everybody.
Like I've been told, this so-and-so has really calmed down over the years. Well, so-and-so calmed down because he pushed me on set and I called a meeting at the producer's trailer about it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see the behind the scenes of like, so-and-so calmed down but I put my job on the line constantly. Yeah. And I've been heard like males be like, in charge, no, Kate, we don't want Kate. You cannot hire Kate on this show. Kate. And I had to deal with a lot of that. But, at least the women coming in now, there's a lot of women in the lighting department. And that didn't exist. But I do have to say the stage theater concert world, that's another world.
Oh yeah, you're saying that. That's very different.
It's far more progressive. There are women, so many women there, and they get a lot of respect. Guys, you never hear people like putting them down. They're like, oh, she's great. Oh, she's strong. Oh, like it's a very different world. But
That's so interesting how the film world hasn't progressed the way the theater world has.
Film world is weird.
And that you're always it's always a battle to just get the self-respect or on set.
I was nervous coming back because I was like, what's it? Like I had major stage fright on my first day back on set, which was in December. I was scared, but it turned out to be a really positive experience. So
do you feel stronger now coming out of that? Like you've, coming back from your mat leave and everything, and having gone through like 15 years of that and standing up for yourself. Do you feel like you come back and you're like, I'm going to do my job and I'm going to keep fighting for it if I have to, because what else do you have to lose kind of thing at this point? Because you've done it all and you fought it all. And
yeah, I do. I also, having a kid, I was like, I want to be like a strong person for this child. I want him to see like good things. I don't want him to see me like come home from work upset. Like I just wanted a better thing. So I was like questioned, do I want to still work in this business? And then it just sort of happened that I came back. I replaced someone one day and then they liked me, and then I ended up finishing a show, and it was like, I felt really good to go there. Like it felt like a little piece of me back. And it was like it was a really tiny crew, very different environment, but like just a lot of respect. People were really kind. And it was like the perfect thing to be on, to come back. Cause it was like sort of made everything I've been through okay, because I was coming into like a whole other world, and I felt appreciated. That's how I ended up on this, was from someone that was on that show. So it's just like, it felt good to be like recognized, because
Yeah.
it took me like 15 years pretty much to barely feel recognized, and then to just be able to come back and feel stronger and have someone be like, you did a great, like people all the time were like, you're doing a great job, love you. And I was like, that's crazy. I don't know how many times
That's incredible. That's great.
in my life.
I really hope more sets, are like that.
Yeah,
Nice. Going forward is with, there's a lot of Ottawa productions, and I really hope that it gets better.
It's something that people don't do a lot in film. It's say like, thank you for a great day. Like, it's like 2 seconds to say that to the people who work for you if you're in charge, but to hear that, you feel good. Like, it's a long, hard day when you're on set. So for someone to be like, thank you, you did great today. Like, you're like, wow, really?
Right. It only takes a thank you to make someone's day.
You feel happy. Yeah, it's good. It's a good feeling.
Thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy to share that kind of stuff, especially publicly.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of strength, a lot of respect for me, honestly. Like, I think that's really, really great.
I was
that
nervous
you are strong,
because I was nervous of like, who's listening? What impact will that have? But I don't care anymore. So sure, I'll be the downer of the bunch, because it's the reality of all of us, what we could all face at any point. Absolutely.
And it's not just the film industry, it's every industry. Every industry. Women are always going through this kind of stuff. Nikisha, what's your challenges?
Challenges. I mean, one of the big challenges is being like working a role on set that is often like there's usually only one. So, and people tend to hire the same makeup artist that they work with. So it's difficult to kind of get into the circle. I would say, I know this sounds so bad, but like, I hate being a diversity hire. It's like one thing that really gets me, because I know how to do my job well, and I'm good at what I do. But it can sometimes be disappointing when you realize that someone hired you because you're a woman and you're Black. So
you're feeling that check mark on their little.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, 2 birds with 1 stone, and her last name's Chong. We got it. Like it can be disheartening, especially as an artist. I think, all of us are sensitive about our stuff, like we do what we do because we're passionate about it. And we're well, at least for myself, I can only speak for myself, is that I'm striving for excellence, and I'm looking to have mentors who are interested in, teaching me the ropes and that sort of thing. But because competition is a factor, it's difficult to find people like that. And then when you are hired on set, you're probably the only Black person there, which is not to say that there aren't other Black people who work in film. I just have yet to cross paths with another Black person on set. And this just is an honest answer. Working in Vancouver, I worked with a very diverse team, but it had more to do with the fact that they were people who were expats, and they were visiting Vancouver and studying film and choosing to work within that. But even there, I had not met a Black person, which is, it seems crazy because it's Canada. You would not believe that there wouldn't be this diversity. But it took the BLM movement for people to start seeking me out, which is really devastating to know that it took someone dying on camera for that to happen. But that's a whole other story. And it can be frustrating to recognize that, people are hiring you so that they don't look like they're not diverse. And, like Kate was saying before, so that it looks like they're doing something and that they support, but their interest is literally to have one person there so that it looks like that's what it is, and that's it. And often being the token diversity hire, it's frustrating, but it's also really interesting when you meet other people who are people of color who feel the same way. And then you realize that it's not just you, and that there probably is only one other person of color on set. And this is something that I've started to notice more of. And it's a challenge, but I also think that being vocal about it, for one, is important. But I think the other thing is helping people understand how they can get into the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of people who are interested in doing it who don't actually know how to go about it.
Yeah.
And that's something that really interferes with people's creativity. They could be the best person for that job, but because they don't know the steps how to get there, it interferes with them being a part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I also think that education is really important too. And also, you know, making sure that the education is there on set. If you're going to have the diversity hire, like, let's make sure that the content we're creating is also sensitive.
Right.
You know, it's really awkward when you're there and you have to say things like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. And when you have to say it, and I'm just the type of person that no, if it's not right, then it's not right. So I'm just going to have to speak up and let it be known that I'm not interested in doing this. And unless we switch it up, I'll be packing my bag and I'll have to go. And it's not so much about being unprofessional, because of course you don't want to be that person. But Kate, like you said, either you have it in you or you don't. There's a right and a wrong. And when you're dancing on that line, you know that you're dancing on it. And I don't want that me being here is what excuses this type of behavior. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to think that because you had someone on set who's of this race, that justifies any of the jokes or any of the appropriation that's going on here. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but it is something that in this world that we live in 2021, unfortunately, this is something that's happening. And because now we're living in this viral world where people are able to really express either their support or their extreme hate for things, you know, we're at this time where, you know, racial tensions, it's at a high. We're at a high now. Racial tensions are at a high, but we deal with it day to day. As women, we deal with being underestimated. And it's not that I'm used to being underestimated. I've just stopped cowering up. I've just stopped, you know, being a coward and sitting back thinking that I'm not up to the challenge when I am. Mm-hmm. You know, knowing your worth and knowing what you bring to the table, and also understanding that, you know, you may not be the right fit, and that's okay too. Sometimes it's not the right fit, and you have to be okay that that's the situation and move forward on the things that are more important. So, you know, that's kind of my mantra, is just follow your bliss, follow what makes you happy. If it doesn't make you happy, maybe it's not important.
No, I like that. And I like what you don't like. You said to me multiple times that, like, if it's for me, then it's going to work out, you know?
Yeah. I 100% believe that. My name is stamped, written on it, you know, bolded, underlined, the whole thing. So to me, as long as the label says Nisha Chong, like, there's only one. You can Google it. Like, there's only one. So there's no way that what says Nisha Chong is meant for anybody else but for me. And, you know, I take great peace in knowing that's what it is. And I think that more of us need to spend that time claiming those things that we've spoken into existence, you know, those things that we know we're capable of and the things that we know are ours.
Yeah.
In literally just claiming it and saying, yeah, that's right. That's me. That's all me. And I will claim it. So that's what I'm trying to do. Claim my happiness, all of those things.
Yes, I love that. My next question is going to be a little bit of a tune one, because we don't have that much time left. But I want to know, like, what advice would you have given to your younger self and to Ottawa's communities? How do we, you know, continue to build our Ottawa's community, and with the advice that you would have given yourself? So we'll start with Nisha. We'll go the other way.
Oh, okay. I would say you got the juice. Believe in yourself. I've said that for years, that, you know, I've been a person that's been very good at supporting my friends in what they wanted to do, but not giving myself the same advice, in literally saying, you got it, girl. Like, look at yourself in the mirror, know that you have this. And even if you're a little nervous and you feel a little anxious about it, it's okay, because it was for you. Just be prepared. It's okay to be a little nervous, but just know that you have it within you to get it done. And I think that understanding that even if the journey doesn't seem like it makes sense right away, if it's for you and it's the right thing for you, then you should pursue it. Try it. The worst that could happen is that it's not, and you back away from it and you do something else. We have our whole lives to pursue the things that we want, and it's never just one thing. So I don't see why, sitting back thinking that, the industry is so large and that there may not be a space for you. There's absolutely a space for you, and you should go for it.
I love that. And like, people think that the path to like your success is just straight and narrow, and it's not. Like there's so many ways to get there, and it's not going to be the easiest. It's most likely not going to be the easiest way, and you got to like fight through it, but
exactly.
You're gonna get there.
You have to also, you have to still want it on the bad days.
Yes.
And I like that. Is that just remembering that, like, if you can want it on the good days, just remember that there will be bad days, and you are still going to have to want it on the bad days.
Yeah.
And if you want it on the bad days, then you know whether or not it's necessary to pursue it. And it took me a long time to figure that out, but 8 years and, financial knowledge later, I figured it out. And now, everything happens the way it does for a reason. Now I have all of this knowledge to be, a private contractor and take care of things the way I need to take care of them as somebody who is a makeup artist working on set, which I would have never made that correlation that financial background was going to have something to do with the makeup career that I was pursuing, but it has everything to do with it. So, I also believe that they're all connected, and it's cool that I've been able to find something that makes me really happy, that I look forward to doing every day. And, I think that that's the best advice I could give my younger self, or any young woman that's coming up, or young man, anybody is really just, find what you love and pursue it. You'll probably still love it afterwards, even if you decide that it's not a career for you. And, it's okay if it didn't work out the way you thought it should, but you won't know if you don't try it. So
that's 100%. That's 100%. Kate, what kind of advice would you have given yourself, and something that, that would help build the Ottawa community, like telling them, the advice?
Well, the first would be that I would have warned myself that this is not going to be easy, just because it was easy to get into it because you had someone's support. It was not going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. And like to not, and to fight just the way I did, even if it looks bad on you, even if it ruins what could have been a different career. Like I would tell myself, do the same thing. And that, like Nikisha was saying, like what's meant for you is for you. Like for me, maybe I wasn't meant to get into lighting to become a superstar gaffer or lighting designer or whatever. Maybe my part in this business was to like set the groundwork for other women, to pave the way. Like maybe that was my purpose, not to be amazing at the job and get all this credit and be the boss and, get the recognition. Maybe it was to quietly just kind of get into this and create a path for women. That maybe is my purpose in this business.
I love that. Yeah.
Not necessarily, I think this people, I don't know who's listening to this, but watching, but if anyone is who maybe, anyway, they may not have realized that about me. If the people who've started since I've left, the women have heard my name or haven't heard my name, but will they know that where they are now, I helped create that? Probably not, but that's probably was my purpose in this business, was to like create that space. And then for this community, I would say people need to stand up for people. Like if everybody's standing up for someone, you can't all lose your jobs, right? I think everyone's always afraid to be the one to like have someone's back, but like if you all have someone's back, they can't replace the whole crew. So just do it. And maybe your path wasn't to be what you think it is. Maybe your path was to be an ally. Like, you don't know, but that could have been, right? That could be your purpose in this business, is to be that one ally, like my John Olds was to me, to, maybe that's your purpose, is to start something, to be there for someone, to guide future.
And sometimes you don't even know what your purpose is until you look back. Like you're looking back now and you're like, well, I did all of this. Like I fought a lot for more women to come through and fight for their wages and fight for like their positions. And you did that. And maybe at the time you didn't realize that, you know, that was your purpose because you were fighting for your own right. But you look back, maybe that was your purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and you did something amazing.
Yeah. Coming back into it, I'm like, maybe that's, you know, exactly.
I love that. No, I think I'm sure a lot of women in the crew have you to thank, you know, for paving the way. And it must feel good coming back from Atlee being like, that's me. I did that. Now your son is going to see that, you know, that his mama did something amazing, you know?
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Shu, what advice would you have given yourself? And let's give some to the community.
First, I think Ottawa is really amazing. Well, I come from, my background is I was in China. I was a journalist there. So there was not a lot of room for me to create my own content and publish on state-owned media because it was impossible. So first of all, I want to mention that I think Ottawa, we're in Canada, and Ottawa has amazing industry. You can always publish your work and you have a lot of freedom to choose the content you want to work on and everything. So that's the context, I think. The advice I want to give is that be really careful of what you dream of because you always realize your dream. It's really scary. I mean, in a way, when I was in China and I was like, and I asked my Canadian editor in the newsroom, I said, can I be a freelancer in the future in Canada? He said, yeah, you can. So that was my wish. And later I realized my dream being freelancer, doing my own content. And over the years, I dreamed about, maybe I'll publish my work. I really want to work with CBC. I want to get my name out there. And then it happened. And then, I want to be a director of my own documentary. And then it happened. Well, it's all, I think if you dream about something and you want to get something, you will do all you can to make that happen. Well, I wouldn't dream of being a professional dog walker and, so I would never be because I don't have the dream. So I will never be like that. But in your industry and in your field, if you keep dreaming about what you want and you keep working on it, it's not as that hard as you imagine. It's going to happen. So that's my advice.
I love that. I'm going to see if there's any questions here first before I have my last questions. I have, in honor of International Women's Day, what are your favorite films or TV shows made by women? That's our only question in here.
I have one. It's not out there yet, but Hinman, she produced an animation film about a trip of her cat's poop.
Hingman is producing this series right now. She's the tech, and she's probably dying inside right now.
Really deep philosophy and everything. It's funny and it has deep thoughts behind it. So once it's released, you really should watch. And she's so funny.
He is, and she won for curbside pickup from our last our fall festival. She won a couple times. So I'm excited to see this cat poop animation for Hingman. Anybody else?
It's an American show. It's not Canadian. Sorry, guys. But Insecure is an HBO show produced by Issa Rae. She is a Black writer, awesome comedian. I actually started watching her YouTube series Awkward Black Girl before Insecure became a show. So while she was still, hustling, I was watching her stuff.
So was that a web series that became Insecure?
That was a web series.
Okay.
It was a web series that she then based Insecure on.
See, guys, make a web series, maybe a TV show out of it.
It's a huge show. And I think what I love the most about it is that she has been able to portray Black women in this very real way for people to understand how we are and understand a little bit more of who we are. And she does it in this way that is funny, but very real. And oftentimes you'll see shows where Black women are not necessarily Black women. You'll see the Black women sitting in the audience and we'll be like, no, that would not happen. But this show, like, you're watching it and you're relating to it, and it's so and it's a diverse cast. It's not just about Black women. Like, she talks about, what it's like to be a person of color living in LA and pursuing different things, and, being underestimated because in her initial job, she wasn't, the top person. And it was just all of these very real things that people in their late 20s and 30s experience, but from the perspective of a Black woman. And it was a very honest place that she was coming from. So that's one of my faves.
I love that. Kate, do you have any recommendations?
I'm thinking. Sorry. No, but one show that I can think of that comes to mind, I've only seen maybe one season of it, but I like the idea behind Working Moms is a woman creator, one of the
Catherine Reitman,
Ottawa that we worked with a lot of times, and it's nice to see a show that a woman created that's getting recognition, that's doing really well, and it being Canadian on top of it is pretty cool. Like, even on Netflix now, I think.
Yeah, they made it to Netflix. Yeah, there's a few seasons in. Yeah, she wrote it and is doing a lot for it. Yeah. And she tried to, so interesting story about Working Moms is that she had watched her TED Talk, and she talked about how she tried to sell it in the States. They gave it to a male comedian to be the showrunner. Then it did not go anywhere. So she took it to a woman at CBC, and she was like, oh, I love this. I relate to this. Let's get this made. And that was, the story. And so how funny is that they gave it to a man?
Yeah. They shocked.
First, right. Shocking. Oh, we have a couple other questions now. Someone's asking, it's an anonymous attendee. I don't have a name there, but how would I go about working on a set as a PA? I think, Kate, you can maybe answer that one.
Well, my first show I did, but I don't remember how maybe back then was through Craigslist. I don't remember what it was through, but I researched, like, I had no idea anything about this industry. So I was like, how do I work in film? How am I going to become this? Okay. And I found just like independent projects. I didn't get paid or anything like that. But I think a lot of people have this fear of doing free work. It's not free. You have to find the right place. Obviously, you want to be respected. But if you find a crew that respects you and they respect the time that you're putting in, there's a lot of value to that, because that was my first show and I never did another free show after that. I've been paid ever since. So that's your education. If you don't know the business, you don't know people, the best thing you can do is there's a lot of people, like when people are making films for the Digi60 festival, there's always people shooting short films or just doing their own projects. So you want to find some of those. Plus, like on Facebook, there's film groups that are looking for crew. So it's good to join those, follow what people are doing. And even if the pay sounds crappy, like, you just there's no shame in that game, because that's how you meet people. That's how you develop a little reputation for yourself, and how you start to understand set. So when a job comes up, you're like, yeah, I've done that. And you're confident, and you can go in and you know what all the parts are. And anyway, it's a networking business, right? It's a networking business.
Yeah. Like, it's who you know and how you can move forward, and the mentorship, and all that. So I definitely feel that. I have another one from Mr. Keith Whittier. Not a question, but a comment. Thank you all for sharing so openly. I truly appreciated this dialogue. Mesa, thanks for moderating. We all stumble over our words. Yes, thank you for thank you for that. And thanks, Digi60, for another great session. Before I wrap up, do we have any women that you'd like to shout out? It's International Women's Day. So if you have any women that you'd like to shout out, please take this opportunity to do so, ladies.
So Megan's Instagram is called Wild Sky Production. Check out her work. She lives like on $70 for 2 months or something. She has I know, she's amazing. She just lives in this orca lab, and she shoots the orcas every single day on Vancouver Island.
Can you put that in the chat? Put her Instagram in the chat. Maybe people can check her out. Yeah, whenever.
And and seeing a woman so dedicated marry herself into orcas, it's just amazing to see an entire different way of living. And she take her bath in the nature, in a bathtub, and just pour the water in the bathtub and heat it up, and then she's just naked and having a bath and on Instagram.
That's amazing.
Amazing. And she was our cinematographer for our orca documentary. So she was shooting all the orcas, and puking and pass out and then wake up and shoot. So
Oh my God.
that's an amazing British woman who, because of orcas, moved all the way to Canada.
That's incredible. That's
Type
incredible.
Type down her name when you're sharing other people.
So you have more people? We have more people to shout out?
For me?
Anybody? Let's.
Well, there's a lot of like really cool women that I know, so I don't want to like I feel bad saying one person, but I saw a picture today that a friend of mine posted of another friend of ours, Jessie Turner, who is a DOP. I've known her many years as like a camera operator, different parts of the camera department, but she's meant to be a DOP. And as a woman, obviously, she didn't necessarily always. I think she should have been doing that, being the DOP for a really long time. And it's nice to see her right now getting a lot of recognition, a lot of love. She seems to be kind of taking over the scene. And it's just really good to see her in that position because it's always men. Like it's always, every DOP is always men. And I see her working as their camera operators, but like, she's amazing. She's talented. I've known her since the beginning of my career. And I don't know what her journey's been like, but I just know that I'm seeing now in the last couple of years, and especially lately, her getting a lot of recognition. Our friend posting this picture of her on set today made me think of that. It's like,
that's amazing.
She seems to be really like in the place she should be right now. And it's really nice to see. It's nice to see people you've worked with forever doing well and getting a lot of love.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Yay. Nisha, anybody?
Most of my contacts are actually in Vancouver, so no one that's in Ottawa.
That's okay. We can just name.
But I have worked with Aline Meyerhofer. She is a production manager. She's amazing. Aline is super dope. And I have to obviously shout out another makeup artist, Christine Lawless. We've done a couple of projects together, but this is another person that I kind of came up with. And, you know, as far as working in film, and she's a super talented special effects artist. So yeah, shout out to her too.
That's amazing. Shu, did you have anybody else? I see that you're putting Hingman in there. Yeah. In the chat.
She's also the trailblazer this year.
That's true. She is a trailblazer for CBC.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Hingman and Emily and Nikki, who are my Digi60 team members, because they are amazing women as well. So happy International Women's Day to everybody. Thank you, ladies, for joining me on this panel. I'm so honored to have you all here, listening to your journey, listening to your stories. You women are incredible. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Happy International Women's Day, everybody.